So, okay, folks, join us. Hassan Sadat to my left, and the executive director for right there, Texans for Accountable Government, John Bush, who you just saw being handcuffed and carted away at UT. Tell us about all that. What was going on down there?
Well, Barack Obama showed up to give a speech on public education and his plan to make the nation a great one. And I went to out there outside of the Gregory Gym to accomplish a few things, first of which I wanted to make sure nobody's civil liberties were getting violated. Additionally, I wanted to document the event. I was wearing a press pass on behalf of Austin Free Press, austinfreepress.com. I had a camcorder as well as my phone camera. And additionally, I was there to encourage the Democrats and Obama supporters to get back to their anti-war roots and get back to the fervor that they had against Bush when he was escalating and starting the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. And there was a free speech zone. I never stepped foot in the free speech zone, and they asked me to go to the free speech zone, police office, the UTPD. I'm not sure if the UTPD actually asked me to, but one of the dean of students did, and I chose to exercise my rights on the public street. From what I understand, the particular area that I was on is a public street, 21st Street and Speedway. So I feel that as an American citizen and as a human being, I have a natural right to exercise my opinion, especially when the president's going to visit my hometown and I'm not happy with the president's policies. It was a traditional public forum, a university campus, so I exercised my rights, and I ended up having my freedom taken away as a result of it. And it's unfortunate that we live in a country right now where our freedom of speech is deteriorating at a very rapid rate. It's not a left-right issue, but I chose to exercise my freedom of speech, and I got arrested for it.
Since you were down there protesting Iraq and Afghanistan, are you aware it's very public now that the covert operations that are going on?
Sure, there's been
bombing and well, not, but now they're telling us.
Oh, they're talking about it now.
Yeah, Somalia, Kenya.
Sure.
Basically, just wherever the president, whatever country he says that there's terrorists.
Yeah.
They invade, occupy, and start bombing.
That's why they labeled it a war on terror as opposed to just a war in Iraq or Afghanistan, because they could take that battle and fight it on multiple fronts. They didn't just have the traditional war with a particular country where you could win the war or lose the war and it's over with. It's now on a global scale. They can basically go into any country they please. Yeah. CIA or military, whoever.
Not only that, the ACLU just chimed in on this. Are you aware of the government assassination program?
Yeah. Escalated.
They can just brand you a terrorist. It don't matter if you're a U.S. citizen, or they can just brand you a terrorist and assassinate you. If you call the White House about it, they'll refer you to the CIA.
Wow. Yeah, it's frightening. I understand under the Bush administration they had the Military Commissions Act, but Barack Obama's only expanded it.
Yeah, that's right. Military Commissions Act. Yeah, that's what do away with the habeas corpus.
That's right.
And all that. Yeah.
You know, back to that video, I couldn't help but notice when I watched the video that they targeted you. They singled you out specifically out of the group of protesters there. That they seemed to approach only you and ask only you to leave. And I don't know what the other protesters did after you were taken away, but it seemed like the police did not pursue them. It seemed like they specifically targeted you. Why do you think that was?
Well, at this particular point in the video, this was after Obama's speech had already been finished. He had already left. There was a discussion going on between about 15 to 20 Obama supporters, and I'm pretty sure not all of them were students. And a info warrior, an Alex Jones supporter, he had a sign there with Obama as the Joker, and it said corporatism, fascism, such and such. And they were arguing back and forth. And I walked up to watch this going on, recorded as well, argued with a couple people, debated the war. And at this point, the assistant dean of students asked this gentleman to leave as well. And I informed him that, according to the law, you don't have to leave. And then they said, no, you need to leave as well. And then at that point, I informed them of my First Amendment rights and my intention to exercise them. I have a press pass. And after that, they arrested me. But, they were hassling demonstrators the entire afternoon. But it's worth noting the only demonstrators that I particularly saw got hassled were the ones that were in opposition to Obama, be it his handling of the wars, the Arab-Israeli conflict in Palestine. Additionally, there were some people protesting his handling of the oil spill. So those people were hassled by University of Texas Police Department in addition to the Dean of Students office. However, individuals that were exercising their First Amendment right in favor of Obama with Obama signs were not hassled at all. So there's an example of unequal execution of the law and potential discrimination of a particular political belief that's in opposition to the Obama administration. I think it's obvious the reason why they set up these free speech zones is not for the safety of the president. There was a zone where nobody could go in at all, even if they were standing there exercising their free speech or not, for safety of the president. And then the free speech zone was way further down Speedway. It's obvious under the Bush administration as well. They're merely trying to make it appear as if there's not as much opposition in the United States of America to the current regime as there in reality is. And it's unfortunate. But that's what you get when you don't pay attention and take control of your government.
I've seen it brought up on the internet, and I'm not, can't say I agree with this position, but I've seen people actually defend your arrest and say that, something like, well, UT is private property, and if they asked John Bush to leave and he did not respect their wishes, then he was a trespasser. How would you respond to that argument?
Well, from my understanding, the University of Texas is a public institution funded by public tax dollars. My president decided to show up and to give his opinion on the manner of public education. He created a public forum in which he was addressing University of Texas students and Austinites. City council members were there, state representatives. I saw Lloyd Doggett there as well. Shouted at him. That particular area, there's research going on right now that 21st Street is actually an extension of Guadalupe, a public street, so it's definitely debatable, but further research will reveal, in my opinion, based on my preliminary analysis, that it is in fact a public thoroughfare. I had every right to be there, especially the fact that there was a public discussion, a public debate going on. So I think it's evident again, including not only the discussion about whether it was public or private property, but additionally, as I said before, the unequal execution of the particular law. There's a name for that. I can't think of it right now.
You mean there was sort of a double standard going on as far as who was being targeted?
That's right. That's right. So that's how I would respond. I guess I'm trying not to get into too many details because there's a pending criminal case. Unfortunately, I'm going to try to beat those charges. But I would also ask them to consider the ramifications to our country, the institution, the importance of free speech. I mean, we got it wrong in the beginning, too. We do have a wonderful Constitution and Declaration of Independence, of course, the Bill of Rights, but our country before has tried to go after individuals' free right to dissent in a consensual government, like the Virginia and Kentucky resolutions, for example. In 1798, made it illegal for you to speak out against the federal government. They even arrested a congressman for that. So while we do have a tradition in this country, and what makes this country great is the free speech, there's been instances in our history, especially during wartime, especially it heated up after 9/11 and the War on Terror, that they are legitimately squashing and quelling dissent, legitimate, peaceful, constitutionally protected dissent. There's a reason why we have those civil liberties enumerated in the Constitution. It's because that's the avenue that we need to use in order to bring about change in the United States of America. And unfortunately, when these people shut these avenues up, they make it difficult for people to bring about change, and they're going to end up hurting themselves more than they think, and it's rather unfortunate. So that's why I just encourage everybody to exercise your inherent rights to the fullest, because if you don't exercise them, you could eventually lose them, and we're seeing that happening right now because not enough people are exercising their rights.
Now, your arrest is definitely making waves nationally, actually. What effect has your arrest had on your organization, TAG?
Sure. It's actually gone international. Some of the reviews, it was like top 12 in the category of activism and nonprofits in all sorts of different countries, Germany, Switzerland, Israel, Ukraine, and it's pretty amazing. But yeah, a lot of people have turned their eye on Texans for Accountable Government now, which is which is a good thing.
Tell us about that while you are. We got that up.
Yeah, so
we're an event coming up.
Yeah, we're a general purpose political action committee, and we're coming up on our 2-year anniversary, and we're encouraging everybody to come out and celebrate with us. We're going to be having speeches. We'll be electing a steering committee. There's going to be musical performances, hip hop, jump starts, a really professional cover band. Additionally, Paul Tapetti, Poker Face will be there. It's going to be 7 p.m. August 21st, United States Art Authority, which is attached to Spider House Cafe. And, we've really accomplished a lot in the 2 years, from pushing back the sobriety checkpoints, assisting in killing the comprehensive development agreements, which further the tolling of existing freeways, Trans-Texas Corridor, stopping old Artie Boy Acevedo, the police chief, from going forward with his blood withdrawal program. Recently, we managed to put some really strong safeguards on the Austin Regional Intelligence Center Fusion Center, the law enforcement intelligence sharing apparatus. So we want to invite people out, tell them what we're all about, encourage them to get involved, encourage them to focus their efforts on the local and state level, where many libertarians and freedom fighters are genuinely having a major impact on pushing back on the encroaching and ever intrusive state. So one thing that we do, we don't only work hard with Texans for Accountable Government, but we also party hard. So we've been known to throw a pretty kick-butt party. Last year at our one-year anniversary party, Jimmy Vaughn played, and it was a wonderful occasion. So August 21st, 7 p.m., come out and celebrate with us, celebrate all the accomplishments. We want to introduce you to some individuals that are taking lead role on a lot of the battles that we're engaged in. For example, pushing back on Austin's fluoridation practice as well is something that we're involved in. So come on out, August 21st. The arrest has definitely put the eyes on Texans for Accountable Government, and people have been inspired too. So if anybody wanted to show support to me, one thing they could do is just be strong and stand up for your civil liberties in the face of adversity. If you know when you're doing something right, regardless of what the law says, you know if it's right or wrong in your heart. And if you feel it to be right, just do it.
You said that the legislation that gave the authority for the United States military and the president, the White House, to just bomb any country they want is under some type of war on terror legislation. That's why you said they didn't name it war in Iraq or war in Afghanistan. They wanted it to be a multi-front.
Sure. Well, as far as authority goes, the Congress granted this pseudo-authority. It was unconstitutional through the War Powers Resolution under Nixon, but it basically authorized Bush to go into Iraq and Afghanistan and then Iraq. A lot of the other incursions, like the one in Pakistan, from my understanding, there wasn't necessarily any legislation that went into that. It was just the CIA arbitrarily outside of their authority.
Is that what's going on it's going on in Somalia?
Sure. There definitely hasn't been a declaration of war, but they gave the executive, now carried on to Obama, the authorization to carry out whatever necessary.
John? Is that a glow?
You call it usurpation of federal authority.
Is it
and
a
the desecration
empire?
Sure, it's teetering on dictatorship. Yeah. The executive branch has assumed so much power; they've usurped the Constitution, the legislative branch as well, and it's exactly what our founding fathers warned about, except for Alexander Hamilton. We're basically getting a Hamiltonian form of government with a strong legislative branch. Many senators pass along their seat to family. It stays in the family, and it's rather unfortunate. And the war is really upsetting what's going on because I feel powerless to do things. But one thing that you can do, we've been pushing back at City Council. The City Council recently elected to take $256,000 worth of federal grant money and give it to Northrop Grumman in order to purchase 2 bomb-sniffing robotic machines. They look like Johnny Five Alive from Short Circuit. But what you can do, this is going out to Austin, what you can do here in Austin is get involved. We're going to start combing through all these grants, and if there's any that are going to any members of the military-industrial complex, war profiteers, we're going to try to cut off their funding here locally.
This is actually going out worldwide.
Okay, yeah. Well, then right on through the World Wide Web. And your own neck of the woods as well. You can do that same thing. Most of the contractors that a lot of local governments deal with are the same military-industrial complex war profiteers that are furthering this war through their lobbying of the Congress.
It's beyond outrageous now.
It's disgusting.
Where they can just go into any country and just start bombing.
You know what I've noticed watching these city council meetings that you've attended, when you rise to oppose this sort of thing, like the bomb-sniffing robots or like the security cameras everywhere, I keep hearing the same argument come up from the city council members. And the argument goes something like this: if it saves just one life, it was worth it. Now, what do you think, or how do you respond to an argument like that? Because, it seems like that's just kind of a blank check to propose any kind of authoritarian measures.
Okay, well, the way you oppose that is you initiate a cost-benefit analysis, And with just about every single one of the problems that we face as a society, there are multiple forms of solutions. The type of solution that the